G'day all, welcome back to the channel. We got a video here from Matthew Hussey. Honest advice to anyone wanting marriage. If you want to watch the original, the link's in the video description. Let's go.
Marriage is one of the worst decisions you can make, unless you make it with the right person for the right reasons. Let me explain. The irony of all of this is that I have never even liked weddings. I am not religious. I have never been especially romantic about marriage itself. And for most of my life, the whole world of marriage did not really speak to me. So
let's talk about it. I want to talk about that point. I want to talk about two things. Having a really bad experience if you marry the wrong person. I think a lot of people marry the wrong person. People rush into it. Let's talk about that point first. So what generally happens, let's talk about younger people. So say anyone under 35 who are getting married and married for the first time. What happens to a lot of guys, okay? Because there are guys out there who are womanizers. They can get women. They can have rotations, all that sort of stuff. A lot of the time, those guys, they don't fall for the tricks that women, deploy to get men to commit, i.e. flirting with sex and, being an awesome, perfect woman, that whole act, the whole bait and switch. They know what's up. They've seen it a lot of times happen, even through short-term interactions with women. So they don't really fall for that shit. However, you got your other cohort of men, which makes up the wider population of men out there. And this isn't an insult. This is just true. And I've seen it myself with people I know in my network of guys who generally aren't that great with women. For whatever reason it may be, they might not be blessed with good genetics with their looks. They're not confident, a combination of the above, or they're just shy. And then what happens, these guys, because they're not out chase and snatch, they make really good decisions in their life. They study or they start a business and they work really hard on that, grinding on that, and they do well for themselves. All right? And I'm not talking about everyone being a millionaire or anything like that, but they've done all the right things. And then it comes to a certain age, generally for guys it's over 30, where you were never getting any attention before. You were seen as boring, lame, a dork, whatever it might be. And then all of a sudden, women are starting to want to come onto you. And you're like, what is going on here? Like, I've just become a legend the moment I've gotten into my 30s and all my life started lining up for me. Guys don't look into it more deeper. Women are looking at them as a mark and are looking to get safety and provisioning from them and not looking at them from lust. So these guys, they get sucked in with all the sex. It's just wristies, BJs, anal. You're getting whatever you want. She wants you to reenact out, bang bus and fake taxi episodes on her. You've never had anything like it. You've never seen anything like it. She is just making you feel like you're on cloud nine. This has got to be the one. This is it. Mum always said that someone was going to come along when I least expected it, and I always thought she was wrong. But now, look, this woman's come along. I've got to snap this up, otherwise I'm losing the opportunity. And what happens? I move in within 6 months, engaged within 12 months, pregnant after 18 months. The list goes on of the quick milestones that happen. And then the guy realizes once he's trapped that he has bought and signed up to a deal that he didn't know he was getting, and generally it's a negative one. The person isn't as fun and as into sex as he thought she was, or the way that she was portraying herself to be. He's realized that now he's getting no sex now. And she's starting to look at him with a bit of disdain, talking down to him in the house, treating him like a butler, not showing him genuine love and affection like he thought he was getting before. But now he's given over the keys to the kingdom. His life's changed. So these are the guys that get absolutely fucked over. And that is the vast majority of men. Because at least half of those guys, they're going to go through a painful divorce. And the other half, they're going to be living a life of quiet desperation, going along with the punches because, well, that's just how women are and that's just what marriage is and that's what life's all about. You just got to man up. And then you probably have 5 to 10% of marriages where people probably genuinely like each other after a longer period of time once, the limerence and all the, honeymoon period has passed. It's very cruel what nature does to people. Nature making you think you're in love, and women as well thinking they're in love and they're just giving it up, and then both people realise they don't like each other.
Why did I get married? And more importantly, is there anything from my experience that I can glean to share with you if you are a few years earlier in this journey than I am right now? Firstly, I don't think marriage is for everyone. In fact, I think it is a really, really bad idea a lot of the time. But when it works, it's the best. So if you're dreaming of marriage or you're wondering whether it's for you, here are the insights, stories, and even a couple of stats that can help you go in with your eyes wide open. The first thing...
Okay, I'm going to tell you how to have your eyes wide open going into marriage. Just go and talk to men who have been married for a long time, buy them a beer and ask them, give them some tips and ask to give you some tips and ask them to tell you frankly. So I want you to give it to me straight. Like, what's it like? And do that with people will be honest with you. A lot of men won't even talk about the negatives because they don't want to be seen as, you can't keep your missus in line and all that sort of thing. Go and talk to guys who have been divorced. Don't get tricked by society that speaking to men who are divorced is a bad idea because they're going to ruin your relationship because they're bitter and hurt. I think most guys would be happy to be able to give some really honest feedback on what their married life is like to young guys or inexperienced men who are going lambs to the slaughter. But society says, oh no, or other women will say, no, don't listen to him. You don't listen to him. He's bitter. His wife left him. He's a broken down shell of a man. That's what should happen. Or speak to womanizers. Guys, you just get chicks and get them to tell you what they learn from female nature. Like, that is how you learn. Now, most guys don't take on any information that men tell them. They find out themselves, oh, fuck! I didn't know that was going to happen. Oh, and, there's fucking guys have been trying to tell you, but you didn't want to listen. So it's I've had instances of this. I've tried to talk to guys. Tell them, hey dude, I sort of put my hand on the fire. I don't want you to, without at least knowing you're going to get potentially burnt. Yeah, whatever, dude, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to listen to you. And then they go and put their hand on the fire. Oh, fuck, it burnt. Why didn't you fucking tell me that? Men just got to learn on their own sometimes. What guys should also do, in my honest opinion, is go down to a divorce court and sit there for a couple of days, like a fly on the wall, if you can go and sit in a public hearing. Go see the people walking in and out of mediation rooms who once loved each other and signed up to this deal, to death do us part, and watch the guys there just fucking absolutely getting destroyed in there. Go and do that, and then if you still want to do it, fine. I'm going to give one more little piece of wisdom before I move on and watch this for a little bit. I know I'm ranting today. That's why you're here. If you want to watch his fucking video, go watch it. That's linked in the video description. My honest opinion is men shouldn't even consider moving in for 3 years. That's my opinion. Why? Because people can't keep up an act for that long. You're generally going to see some big cracks coming through after a year or two. And then that third year, it's going to give you some time to decide if you want to progress her to serious girlfriend status. And I'll say most guys probably shouldn't be doing that with most women, because there's a lot of risk out there. Then if you want to get married, I reckon it's 5 years in total. Like living together for, maybe if you're in Australia, do living together for 1 year and work out if you want her in your house or not, because you're going to work out pretty quick how compatible you are seeing someone day in, day out for a year. Like that shine wears off pretty quick. So before you fall under de facto laws, you can boot her out or you can move out or whatever it is. That's my honest opinion. Sounds ruthless. Most guys wouldn't follow that or have the guts to break up with a woman who they're pretty deep in a relationship with. Most guys are like, oh, well, I'm in here anyway. We're living together anyway. Or, oh, I've proposed to her anyway, so I've got to do it now. And I'm not saying I'm any better. Why do I talk about this? Because I've done it. When I was a lot younger, When I was engaged, my stomach was turning and twisting, and I was just like, I got cold feet. But that was my intuition saying, nah, this isn't good. But what did I do? I ignored it, and I paid the price. So that's on me. All right, halfway. If you're enjoying this video, this rant today, consider subbing to the channel. Like, comment, share, all that sort of shit. View time really helps me out. So if you do want to stick around or leave it playing, it really helps me out. And if you want to support the channel or get into contact with me, you can find ways to do so in the video description and pinned comment. All right.
Thing I've learned is that this is an area where it pays to go slow in order to go fast. Making quick decisions based on romance or how much we want to get married is one of the recipes for ending up in divorce. One analysis found that the highest odds of divorce are in years 4 to 8 for couples who married under 25, especially under 20. And this isn't to say that young marriages can't work, many do, but it does mean that you have to go in with your eyes wide open and a genuine willingness to grow together. But it takes time to know if you're with someone that you actually can and want to grow with. What I will say, however, is that we want to go slow for the right reasons. A right reason is I'm going slow to really get to know the person in front of me to make sure they're right. A wrong reason is I'm going slow so that I can wait for my life to be perfect before I really commit to a person. And that's what brings me on to my next point. Waiting for stability before we make a major commitment to someone is overrated. Now, I don't mean emotional stability.
What?
I think there's a degree of emotional stability that we want to find in ourselves before we get married. But I think more in terms of the things people say out loud when they say why they can't get married yet. I hear this a lot from guys. I can't get married yet because I haven't hit my financial goal, or I can't get married yet because my life's just not in a place where I'm set up to be able to get married. And I think that misses the point of what a long-term relationship is. Even if we take marriage out of the equation for the moment, you learn a lot more by dating someone and getting to know them and coming up with them in the messy stages of your life than you do by getting to the top of whatever hypothetical mountain you're saying you have to climb before you commit, and then picking someone from the top of the mountain. When your life is in a perfect place, you don't necessarily learn a lot about the partner that you're with. You certainly don't learn as much as you can when your life is going through difficult and challenging stages.
I'll give him that. I think a really good way to test a woman's loyalty and if she is a good person who isn't going to drop you is meeting someone when you're down and out in your life, where you might not have a lot of money. You might have lost a job. I don't know. The list goes on of all the things that can happen that could really make you look unattractive to most women. I don't know. Maybe you have to go and live with your parents or something like that because you're down and out. You know, you're 30 years old and living with your mum and dad or something like that. And she doesn't give you any shit about it. She knows that you're in a tight spot, but it's only temporary and she sticks with you because she can see the vision and the goal. Now, there aren't many women like that. Most women will fucking make fun of dudes who aren't ready-made. So while Michael, I think this guy, not Michael, Matthew Hussey, he makes sense, right? But the reality is most women aren't wanting to go through the mud with a guy. So guys are finding that they're going to have this ready-made life so some chick can plug into it. And I do agree with him. If you're going to do it, you're better off getting with someone when you're in the dirt than when you've reached the top of the mountain, because all you're going to attract are women that are seeing you as making their life better from the get-go, not earning it, coming along the ride with you and contributing. That's my honest opinion on that. So I don't think he's too far off there. But I don't think it's wrong to say as well that men were very strategic thinkers. So if you're going to do something like that, and I say highly advise against it. I'm not saying be alone forever. But what I'm saying, I'm highly advise rushing in and fucking marrying women quick. Highly advise. But if you want to go and get married and do all of that, definitely not fucking meeting women when say you've become a millionaire or you've reached whatever milestone you wanted to have, and then start using that as your marketing for meeting women. You're just going to get the wrong ones. And I'm not a relationship coach. I haven't been very successful in them. I'm not a fucking marriage expert. I'm divorced. I'm just telling you from my experiences, especially marrying really hot women, women who think they're hot even, and have that way about them. They're going to make your life a living nightmare. A lot of guys do that. They'll meet a woman who is generally a lot more attractive than what they've normally gotten, and they'll do whatever they can to hold on to her, including just putting up with all sorts of bullshit. I don't know, guys. Let me know your thoughts. I know I'm rambling a bit today. I'm ranting. I'm carrying on. I think this is a very important topic. I don't know the obsession with men getting married. For whatever reason, guys also, they want to get married. They talk about marriage. As I said, go and sit in the family court for a day. You might change your mind. They think that because they're also buying the fantasy that is sold to them from movies and shows, that you're going to meet this woman and it's just you and her, and that's like the pinnacle of your existence, and life is just going to get so much better because you've got her there. A lot of guys end up becoming, as I said, like unpaid servants in your own house.
I look back now and I am grateful for the fact that my life was not perfectly stable when my wife Audrey came into it. In fact, there were a lot of messes, there were some crises, and those were the things that told me who I had. By the way, if you know you struggle to pick good partners or trust your instincts because your emotions get the better of you in love and dating, that is exactly the deep work I'm doing with people on my retreat this weekend. Yes, it is happening this weekend on the 18th and 19th of October. And you don't even have to join me in person for this event. Join us this weekend. Here's one that I think is really important. Anxiety often disguises itself as a refusal to settle. So there are a lot of people who feel like they struggle with commitment. And one of the reasons they do is because of a kind of perfectionist mindset, or because they're always thinking that someone better is going to come along. And that makes it really difficult to just go all in on the person they're with. I think this is particularly difficult these days with the amount of choice, superficial choice, that we are presented with on dating apps, on social media. It feels like there's always someone possibly better around the corner. But when we tell ourselves, oh, I just don't know, maybe someone better will come along, instead of thinking about that as some desire to optimize, it might be worth labeling it as anxiety, as a pattern.
No, I call it as I want to talk about probably two things here. So most guys don't have this issue. So I don't know if I think his audience is women. But I want to talk about this. Like, most guys are not going to have this problem that they've got so much choice that they can't find it within themselves to pick one. That's very much a female problem. They're always thinking that this next better person is just going to come along. And it's always doing the lucky dip. It's always playing the lotto and swiping on the internet, right? And thinking you're always going to get someone better. And that's how these women end up 35, 40, 45 with super stupid high standards and don't have anything really to back that up apart from it's just what they want. And because they're getting a lot of matches, even from attractive guys, banging dudes and all that, getting all this attraction, they conflate that with genuine attention from men who want to have relationships with them. It's fucking backwards. Then there's also other guys. Now I want to talk about guys who have experience with women. And they'll say, oh, men don't want to commit because they're commitment phobes, or they're scared and all of that. If you've seen some of the things that I've seen or done, you wouldn't really, the whole illusion of women is shattered and broken. You really won't be able to look at them in the same way and make a decision to commit to someone for life without thinking it is an incredibly high risk. Incredibly high risk. Women are very fickle. Women leave men all the time when things get tough, when they get sick of them, they get bored. They go and cheat. They live double lives. They'll have a husband who goes and works in the office all day. They might have a work from home job, or they might have a different schedule, and they're out dating and living a single life while they're also married, and they're doing it in a very sneaky way. That shit happens all the time. Guys need to be careful. So guys who see this stuff and live this life, they're like, oh, I know sort of what's on the other side of this. Like, it's not 100% guaranteed, right? You can't live your life in complete fear, but you can't also deny it, what you've seen and what you've experienced. Like, ooh, I've gone on all these dates with women who are telling me they had this man and that they loved and they were married to, and now they're only in 1 month out, 2 weeks out of a separation, and they're banging you, telling you how much of a great guy you are and how much better than the ex-husband you are. They don't even know you. So you think to yourself, hang on. So this guy that you had kids with, you married, you did all this stuff with, he's just a piece of shit to you now. He doesn't exist anymore. He's lower than dirt, completely abandoned. And you're out just banging other dudes and ragging these guys out to the guys you're having sex with. Very, very common. So you see that, and you're like, oh, hang on, I don't really believe in this marriage thing. Because you see a lot of women, a lot of attractive ones, early 30s, mid-30s, they will open your eyes if you have your ears open to listen and read between the lines of what they tell you.
Of anxious rumination. Because when we do that, we stop giving it so much weight. We stop giving it so much meaning. We recognize that our fear that someone better might come along is actually a kind of catastrophic thinking that I'm going to make the wrong decision in my life and that's going to haunt me forever. The irony is that what tends to haunt people is the unwillingness to make a decision and commit to someone, not that they're going to make an imperfect decision. Now, if you're watching this and you are anxious about making the wrong decision in love, there is a trap that you must avoid when it comes to choosing the right partner. Do not let your ego make the decision.
Not partner, it's wife or husband. What's his partner shit? It's very big here. I think Matthew Hussey, I think he's Australian. What's his partner stuff? It's very progressive language. Even you hear that from the start. Oh, they want to find their person. I'm looking for my person. All that means is they're looking for Mr. Perfect. He doesn't fucking exist. Massive red flag. Do not let your ego make the decision about who you marry.
Decision about who you marry. The irony of those of us who spend our lives indecisively going from one person to the next and never knowing what's right is that we also are the most susceptible to being absolutely certain about the wrong person. Why? Because there are people who come along who are so outwardly impressive or hot or charismatic or high status or we think are out of our league that immediately we get triggered by that person and we think, I just have to keep them. This is the best I'm ever going to do. Oh my God, I'm so in love. And in that moment, it's like all of our anxiety about making the wrong decision dissipates. And what shows up is a brand new anxiety about keeping this person who we're absolutely sure is the right person. But why are they the right person? Because they're super hot? Because they impress the people around us? That's not what makes a marriage.
No, I think most guys fall into it because they don't feel like they can get anyone else. As I was talking about earlier, the guys who don't have much luck, they finally got this chick on the hook and she's all about it. And a lot of these guys are very plugged into the system. Like, if I don't do this, if I don't go through with it, even though she's been a bitch to me or she's not, easy to get along with, etc., etc. I know she spends all my money and she always wants things. I can never keep her happy. But then, if I get rid of her, it'd be so hard. I've got to go back on the dating apps. I've got to try and meet someone again. They go, nah, I don't want to do that. I'm never going to meet anyone. And it's living a life out of complete scarcity. Isn't so much the woman being hot. I know some guys will do that. They'll just, especially if the woman's really attractive. Guys can be like little puppy dogs. They will do anything to keep a woman. I could even talk about this from my really good friend Larry. I haven't heard about Larry lately, but Larry, he had this girlfriend who, for him, was far more attractive than his ex-wife and any other woman he's been with. And, she was this real boss babe type woman. And for whatever reason, she was really into him at the start. And you should have seen the way he looked at her. Like, I caught up with him. He wanted me to meet her and all this stuff. And massive red flags went off for me instantly, but I didn't say anything. He wasn't going to listen to me anyway. You should have seen the way he was looking at her. Like, he was under a spell. Like a love spell. I didn't have the heart to tell him I thought she was a slurry, and that turned out to be the case. But he would have disowned me. I've known this guy my whole life. He would have written me off over saying something like that about a woman. Men don't want to hear it. But men, as I said, men get very seduced by women. A lot of women are like sirens, succubi, leading men in ships into the rocks. I know it's a bit metaphorical for me to say, but as I said, I saw how he was looking at her, and I was just like, fuck, this is going to end really bad. And when it did, he was in such a bad place. I felt so sorry for the poor bastard because he was really heartbroken. Really heartbroken. He's a really good, genuine, nice guy. He thought she was great, and she more or less told him that she didn't want anything to do with him anymore pretty abruptly. And then she also said to him, she's already been sleeping with other guys and stuff like that when they were still hanging out. He thought they had this serious relationship going, but she more or less was doing a Steve or Brycey to him. Like, women do that shit. So he thought they were serious, so he was giving her the boyfriend treatment while she was still out getting guts smashed in. And so anyway, she confessed it to him because he wouldn't take the hint. He wouldn't take the hint because he was so love-struck. And you know what? He even said to me if she would have come back now and wanted to get back with him, he would say he would do it without even thinking about it. Fucking hell. So that's, I know I'm ranting, but as I'm saying, fucking some people make decisions not of sound mind.
What makes a marriage is an amazing teammate. And I don't know about you, but I can look back on situations in my life where I was crazy about someone and I thought I'll do anything to keep this person. And now I look back and I'm like, that person was a horrible teammate. They would have been a terrible person to raise a child with. I would have been doing it on my own. They would have been a terrible person to run a household with. But in the moment, if it's our ego that's making us certain, we don't think about any of that. And that is why so many people get into deeply unhappy marriages with people they were originally certain about. This one is important. Do not marry someone that you never argue with. Marry someone you argue well with. That means that when you have an argument, you reach good compromises. You have a good recovery time. In other words, it doesn't take you days of miserable toxicity to get good again. It takes you minutes or hours. You're both good at coming to the table to apologize and soften. It's not always the same person who has to save the two of you every time you have an argument. And by the way, you only know these things by having hard conversations early on and being able to talk about the big stuff so that you know who you are when there are differences in opinions,
That's really good. That's really good too, by the way. A lot of guys also go with the flow, and a lot of women who are trying to lock in men as well, unsuspecting men, they also go with the flow. And then what happens is you go through all those milestones and you're trapped together in marriage and you can't do that act forever, and you start acting and saying things that you truly believe and they'll do the same, and a lot of the time you're not fucking aligned. Or what a lot of women do is they will go along with whatever the guy says. She'll go along with his political stuff, his rants, whatever he carries on about. And then they're married and then she doesn't want to know about it. Or she completely turns and tells him he needs to change and change his ways. She doesn't like what he says. I think a really good example of that is, say you're a bit of a joker, you like to say politically incorrect jokes. And then she turns out to be a raging liberal. But when you guys were first in love, she thought your jokes were funny. It was great. Every time you told something, it was like a stand-up routine and you were getting a great laugh and reaction out of the crowd. Guys, put in the comments if you've had that. Very common. Especially once they turn off on you as well. It doesn't matter what you do. They're not going to like anything you do. You can't even fucking breathe next to them. Let's watch the final point and we'll call it there.
And by the way, when the arguments you're having with someone are about fundamental behaviors that they have that you do not like, that are unlikely to change, don't just ask yourself, do I have the patience or the energy or the strength to deal with this week? Ask yourself if you have the energy to deal with this every week for the rest of your life. Now, maybe you're watching this video as someone who has already chosen someone that you think is wrong. Maybe you married that person. Maybe you're divorced and you're currently shaming yourself for not having followed the advice in your life that I give in this video.
That's how most guys find content like mine and similar other creators. They're having this really hard time. They can't work out what's going on. And I start writing things in, why does my woman treat me like this? And why is she being so mean to me? Or why is she going out late and not coming home? Whatever it might be. And then you end up going down this rabbit hole and you find myself and other creators. Men don't actively seek out this type of conversation and information because it goes against the safe wheel theory that I talk about all the time, which is men want to believe in the dream. Men are the romantics. Men want to believe in this. They really do. That's why they get so heartbroken and never really recover a lot of the time emotionally from a really nasty divorce that, they were shocked by. But then you get women who are happy to go and get into serious relationships 2 months out. They're looking for their person. The next, they're Mr. Right, like straight after, or even still involved in a separation process. It is nuts.
I want to say something to you. Who you divorce is just as important as who you marry. Look, I will always try and give as much guidance as I can to prevent people from marrying the wrong person. But we're people. I've been coaching people for nearly 2 decades of my life, millions of them. And I can tell you, I have seen many people marry the wrong people. And it is not the end of the world. You can recover from this mistake. There is life after the breakdown of a marriage. The decision of who you marry is in some ways the most important decision you'll ever make in your life. It's true, but it's not an...
It is the biggest decision you'll ever make in your life because it has some impacts, or could have impacts, that really follow you for a very long time. And not just the financial, it's if you have kids with someone who's difficult to co-parent with, it can really fuck your life up and weld up. Someone who might use the law, lie to the police that you're a kiddie fiddler, or you hit the kids or whatever it might be, to then get you wiped off custody so they get full custody. Like, this shit happens. It's very common. But men have horrible times. So this can really ruin your life. It is honestly one of the worst decisions you can make if you fuck it up. And most people fuck it up, myself included. So be careful, guys. That's what this video is about. I know I've been fucking ranting and carrying on today. I just don't want people to go through a hard time. I get a lot of email from guys who are really having a hard time. And it's heartbreaking to read these stories. It really is. So I just don't want guys to have a bad time. I think if you get married once and get divorced, I don't think you should get married again. That's my opinion. Even if you want to have the picket fence and everything, meet someone, you tried it, it fucking blew up in your face. Obviously now you know it doesn't work. Get a girlfriend, a long-term girlfriend, and if she wants to be with you, she won't care about getting married. But that's pretty rare. So normally what I would say is, guys, have girlfriends. I'm not saying don't have women, hate women or anything like that. Women are great. I don't hate women. I'm sure most of you guys don't hate women. I'll say probably all of you don't. You just want to learn about them. Or have had bad experiences with them. Doesn't mean you hate them. Just date them if you can and let it go for as long as it can before a commitment, and then move on. Because the women who are going to fucking drop you because you don't give them what they want, they would have divorced you at some point, and you would have been through marriage number 2 anyway. So they've done you a favour. You've done yourself a favour. I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a good Saturday. Cheers.